Hello everyone, and welcome to Myst IV Revelations Books. I'm G, and we had a few more books than in Exile this time around. I think this is the most books that we've actually had in this series thus far. And all of the books are voiced, but screw that, I am going to read them because I am the person behind the microphone. I don't know what I'm saying. But yeah, anyways, let's get started. I am always surprised by how good it feels to return home after one of my journeys. In the day, heat shimmers off the cliffs, bathing me in unexpected warmth. At night, gentle breezes stir the lake, and I often hear Catherine singing to Yeesha. The sound of their voices fills me with such joy. I find myself wondering why I ever left. Perhaps I am more aware of this tonight, having spent so much time alone in Rime. The trip was unavoidable. It has been weeks since I viewed Sirius and Akinar's prison ages, and I needed to be assured of their safety. The crystal viewer did not show much, so I began considering how I might improve it. I am now fairly certain I can achieve a tighter image if I redesign the mechanism itself. I have yet to tell Catherine of these plans. I do not wish to raise her hopes prematurely. After far too brief a visit with my family, I have returned to Rime to conduct preliminary tests. The frigid temperatures in this age are vital for the crystals to function, yet I find it increasingly difficult to work in the cold. Perhaps I can find a way to simulate extreme temperatures inside the viewer itself, so that I can install it in Tomahna when ready. Tonight, I set aside experimentation for a few hours to watch the lights illuminate Rime's sky. Their beauty has not dimmed since first I saw them. I could not fully enjoy the show, however, for it put me in mind of Sirius and Akinar and the months we spent here constructing the towers. Soon, what had been a happy memory for me was mired in regrets. I doubt I will ever know what caused my sons to become so greedy. I only know that when they looked at the ages described in my library, fantastic worlds that one could travel to easily, simply by touching a book's linking panel, they saw only dreams of wealth and power. They devised a plan, an evil plan. When my back was turned, they linked to my ages, plundered, and destroyed them. I know Sirius and Akinar must pay a price for these crimes, yet it brings me no joy to picture them stranded on the 2 uninhabited ages I wrote to protect my library from thieves. I only hope that my sons will someday reject their wicked yearnings and find it in their hearts to reform. After experimenting with several liquid gases, I have found a pressure variable that should allow the crystal viewer to function in Tomahna. Tomorrow, I link to Relishon to enlist help from the Guild of Machinists. Catherine was unusually subdued when I showed her the new blueprints. She trusts that the viewer will work, but wishes we could visit our sons in person. I would like that as well, but until I am convinced of remorse, I cannot risk their escaping. I was fairly certain the evaporator coils would work, and indeed, I was able to achieve a blurry image of Spire within the new viewer's blank book. Unfortunately, a more powerful suppressor is needed to stabilize the image. Guildmaster Andritus suggested that I install several geodes inside the roof of the observatory, then use an antenna to focus them. This should amplify the clean frequency enough so that the crystal viewer can work. Success! Not only was I able to view both Spire and Haven, but I also saw my laboratory on Rime quite clearly. The crystal code for Rime was difficult to remember, having not had much reason to use it previously. I must make a full list of codes, so on, but for now I will keep Rime's close at hand. I always knew my sons had great potential, but today I saw something that truly amazed me. Sirius is harnessing electricity! At least, that is what I assume, for the viewer caught a brief glimpse of something I have never before seen in his age. It had to be a man-made construction. A burst of interference destabilized the image before I could study the device properly, but its existence offers proof that at least one of my sons is making the most of his confinement rather than wallowing in despair. The interference effect is curious. It has disrupted my viewing of ages on more than one occasion. Although I first assumed it to be a problem with the geodes, I now believe it to be subsonic in origin. I think the roof antenna is picking up wave fluctuations emitted by one or more ages. If this is true, I might be able to use the fluctuations to hear what is occurring in an age. I shall have to think on this carefully. It has been an exciting 2 weeks. Catherine, Yeesha, and I had just returned from Relishon, where I spent most of my time in conversation with various guildmasters. I am now convinced that the shape and color of the crystals gives them individual resonance signatures. By combining the resonances of 5 crystals together, I can discover a global pattern of emissions, a sound signature as it were, that is unique to the age being viewed. Guildmaster Andritus assisted me in drawing up plans for a filtration panel that will enable the antenna to hone in on whatever wave fluctuations I want. I truly will be able to listen in on an age. Tomorrow I begin building the panel. I have decided to use Rime as its preset configuration, since that is the age which first enabled me to construct a crystal viewer. The panel is finished. I am too tired to test it tonight. Catherine tried to hide it, but the sounds we heard coming from Akinar's prison age nearly brought her to tears. Once again, I had to reassure her of his safety. My words eventually convinced her, but I know she longs for more substantive proof. I fear she may take matters into her own hands soon. I must confess, I too long for more information than the viewer is currently providing. Tomorrow, I shall link to Rime. I have an idea for an attachment, something akin to a moving eye, that will allow me to change points of view while using the crystal viewer. If it works, I may finally be able to see if my sons have reformed. Spire, I have called it, for that is the image I kept in mind as I wrote the book that would link here. A soaring rock and crystal spire rising out of dense clouds like the watchtower of some gem-studded castle. Now that I am here, and am exploring the age in person, I find it to be exactly as I envisioned, beautiful yet so very deceptive. From the tower formation upon which I sit, an ocean of clouds spreads out below me. Rough stone steps descend toward them, ending at an empty terrace area. Created over centuries by the erosive power of wind, these steps are so evenly matched that I almost believe they were man-made. Yet how could they be, for Spire has never had any inhabitants. Steps are not the only example of how the illusion I sought to create in this age holds true. Shortly after linking here, I walked through massive archways of stone, searching for a view beneath the clouds. As I walked, I felt as if the ghosts of a past civilization walked with me. This feeling was only enhanced by the beautiful harmonic sounds heard everywhere I went. I would have liked to determine the source of these sounds, simply for my own edification, but other concerns must take precedence. Having found the floral caverns and assured myself of Spire's ability to support human life, I am at last ready to leave. I even feel more comfortable with my decision to use this age as a prison world if I must. Yet I am sad to leave it too. There is still so much I could learn about the art simply by spending more time here and comparing the age with my original intentions for it. Unfortunately, once I link away, dropping my Myst book into the clouds as I leave, I know I will never be back. And I truly must go, for I still have another prison age to investigate. Never be discouraged by a mistake, Atrus, my grandmother Anna always used to say. Strive to learn from it instead, and you will achieve great things. Today on Haven, I saw my grandmother's words come true. The broken ship merged into the causeway near Haven's coastline is exactly what I'd hope it would be. A promise of intrigue and adventure so palatable it made my own heart race with excitement to see it. I thought of how much fun the boys I'd met in Stoneship Age, Emmett, Branch, and Will, would have had playing in it, and almost wished I could bring their children here to do so. But Haven must remain off limits to all, if it is to become the prison world I wrote it to be. My sole foray to the age has proved it to be capable of supporting human life, though of course, none exists there at this time. Much of Haven's interior is comprised of a dense tropical rainforest which is obviously teeming with beasts. I saw several as I explored, though they usually kept their distance. A few of the fruit eaters did stare at me curiously as I made my way under their nests. No doubt, having never encountered a human being before, they did not think to fear me. They might even have summoned up the courage to become friends had I stayed there any longer. Alas, I could not, for the weight of urgency was upon me. Having convinced myself of the need to protect my Myst library should some overly greedy explorer stumble onto it, I felt it necessary to link home very quickly. Taking only a few brief minutes to watch the sunset over Haven's freshwater lake, I swam out to the middle and linked away. By now, the linking book I used will have sunk underwater and been destroyed. Consequently, there remains but one task to finish before I can sleep. I must write 2 additional linking books tonight, one for Haven and one for Spire, my other prison age, then place them on display in the library. I shall also have to warn Sirius and Akinar to stay away from them, and tell Catherine, of course, when all is finished. Monday, I got this book. Dad gave it to me. I'm going to write in it every night. Tuesday, in the morning we worked on long division. After dinner I made a puzzle. Mom and me started the fun club and looked at stars. Thursday, I didn't do much. Sunday, we visited my brother today. He had a gift for me, but Dad made me go home before I could see it. I felt bad. Dad talked to me later and said it was just bones, so I shouldn't be scared. I wasn't, because I don't think Akinar meant it to be bad. He looked so sad when we left. Monday. It was hot. I spent the whole day by the water. Saturday. Dad took me to a really neat place today. It's called Serenia, and the people there are so nice. They never forget stuff, because if they do, their memory chamber remembers it for them. I went inside and saw all the memory globes hanging from the ceiling, just like Sirius said I would. Monday. Mom said it's too soon to go back to Serenia. I've been thinking, though, and I don't know if I want my memories put inside a globe when I'm dead. What if I need them? Thursday. I told both Sirius and Akinar about the fun club. They want to join. Wednesday. Dad finally said we could go see Anya tomorrow. She takes care of the memory chamber. She's one of its protectors. Only women can be protectors. Men stay in the village and do other hard stuff like fixing roofs. Thursday. I saw the coolest creature on Serenia today. It was made of water, but when it saw me looking, it got shy and fell apart. Dad said it must have been a fish. Jumping, because he didn't see it. Mom believed me, though. Friday. Anya told me her people put their memories in globes so their families can visit them in the dream world. She said I could visit the dream world too, but I'd have to learn how. Plus, I need a spirit guide. Maybe I can get one next time we visit. Sunday. I got the best gift of all time today, a spirit guide statue. Sirius carved it for me himself. It looks kind of funny, but that's because he never saw one. He just went with what I told him. He knows exactly what questions to ask, and he listens better than anyone. Friday. Before supper, Dad and me changed the lock on my bookshelf. I said since I'm learning Denis, I could change the covers and use everyone's names instead. I won't forget who's older. I won't forget who's older than who either. He said it really had to be the really last time, but he was glad. Thursday. We didn't do much, but tomorrow I start learning how to dream on Serenia. I'll probably be too busy to write in this journal for months. Sunday. Anya gave me a special necklace today. It's really good at picking up memories. She said some things are better at holding them than others, and that only the most powerful memories get shown. I touched it as soon as I got home, and it worked! I can't wait to show all my friends. I linked to Haven yesterday. The smell of its beach washed over me long before my vision cleared. With the veil of haze slowly lifting from my eyes, I forced myself to breathe very deeply. I had not told Atrus I was doing this. He would have argued with me, and told me again how dangerous it is to visit the prison age before Tomahna's linking chamber is built. But construction takes time, and I could no longer wait for him. The sight of the shipwreck rising out of the sea filled me with unexpected dread. Of course, I'd known it would be there. I'd seen it countless times in Atrus's viewer, but seeing it for real through slanted metal bars made me realize exactly what we'd done. I imagined the words my son would throw at me, and courage drained away like summer wine. I did not try to signal him. I feel nothing but numbness now. It was my idea to write the chambers into existence, to bend the art so that a secure room might be inserted in each age, with solid walls no force of man might break. Only then could we risk visiting our sons and leaving a Tomahna linking book behind us when we left. It took me months to convince Atrus this would work, but now that the chambers exist, and I will speak to my sons for the first time in years, I find myself not knowing what to say. How will I explain our decision to leave them prisoners? If hardship and isolation have not caused them to repent, as was our hope, what words will soothe the anchor in their souls? Weeks have passed, and still I have not found the courage to link again. Perhaps it is just as well. Atrus was not pleased when he learned what I had done. He begged me to have more patience, then put extra pressure on the Guild of Stonemasons to finish. Today they informed us that Tomahna's chamber will be ready in 2 days. Had we been able to use the art to create it as we did with the ones in prison ages, they would have been finished. But things always take longer to build when you must do it by hand. Now Atrus is looking forward to having our bedroom back. I should be too, but I keep wondering how I will be able to sleep there, knowing our sons are just a wall away. I worry how they'll act when they greet us, how different they will be from the laughing boys I remember playing with toy boats in Myst's reflection pool. They were happy then. We all were happy. Anna was still with us, and the love we shared as a family knew no bounds. Then Anna died, and our cozy world unraveled. To deal with the loss of his grandmother, Atrus buried himself in work, spending less and less time with our sons. At 8 years old, Sirius must have seen this as rejection, but even then his pride was too well formed to let it show, and as for Akinar, he'd never known how to channel his emotions appropriately. I do not excuse the crimes committed. Sirius and Akinar shattered so many lives in far worse ways than Anna's death shattered ours. It's for this reason that I have stood by Atrus' decision and left my sons imprisoned all these years. But I cannot escape my own culpability in this, for when Sirius and Akinar needed me most, I was too consumed by sorrow to see. I'm being torn in two. I am trapped between a mother's love for her children and a woman's loyalty to her husband. I don't know if... It's so hard. I watch Atrus and Akinar trying to communicate, and it feels like knife blades ripping through my heart. They don't know how to relate to each other. Akinar speaks only from emotions, and Atrus fears he's made his son a savage. Only my presence keeps things from fraying. It's easier with Sirius. They share a love of science, and Sirius's willingness to discuss advancements he's made ignites a similar excitement from Atrus. Yet even then, Atrus doesn't believe. He's unwilling to trust, because he knows what monsters they must have been. I must find a way to resolve this. I must break through Atrus's doubts and get him to see what he cannot. It's been a long time since I've written in this journal. I thought perhaps I had lost it, but while repotting plants in my study, I found behind one of the incubators. It must have fallen there when Atrus reconfigured the generator. No matter, I have it now. Yeesha asked me today if Atrus and I are still arguing. She was seated at the patio table, her head bowed over her school books. She was concentrating so hard on tracing a Garohevti. I don't think she saw my reaction. We have always been careful not to disagree in front of her. I should have realized how insightful she can be. I watched my daughter forming the Dani word so carefully, and I remembered how easy it had been to convince Atrus to start teaching her the art. He never did teach Sirius or Akinar. He started to. He wrote Jananan specifically for that purpose. But after a while, he feared they would abuse it, so he stopped. He's not worried about Yeesha. He sees how curious she is about life and how full of warmth she can be. It's obvious how much he adores her, as I think do Sirius and Akinar. If there is any hope in this for all of us, it will be through her. I must not let family tensions upset her. Tomorrow I will speak to Atrus about my going to Tay for a few days. Perhaps time away will help me gain perspective and discover what it is I need to do. Alright, so this is actually a bit of a different situation. I wasn't previously aware that this existed. This is the section of Tomahna that we know from Exile. And there is another book here, which I will be getting to. But yeah, I didn't know this existed at all. I just thought I would make a note of it. Oh. This is the secret door. Right. Okay then. Anyways, time to go to Atrus's study and read another book. The first time I placed my hand on Serenia's linking panel, I remembered thinking, this age will be unlike any I have journeyed to so far. And it was. The sky was crisp and clear, the rivers and waterfalls sparkled like diamonds, even the worn paths threading through the canopies of stone took my breath away. I met a group of women who told me they had been expecting me, and as we talked late into the evening, they did seem to know a lot about me. Yet the more they explained why, the more impossible their stories seemed. Of course, Catherine's ages have always struck me as impossible. Why should this one have been any different? One of the stories the protectors told me, for that is what they called themselves, moves me to this day. Many lifetimes ago, a child from the village contracted a fever and died. His parents, who had loved him very much, decided to bury him under a waterfall and built a balloon to take him there. The parents' grief was so strong, however, that when they landed their balloon, they could only carry the child a short way, so they set him down beside a giant flower and slept. All night, the mother's tears never stopped flowing. Eventually, they sank through the ground and bathed the flower's roots. Moved by the tears, the flower told the parents to carry their child into her pistil. She would preserve his memories so they could visit him whenever they wished. Then the flower passed one of the tears back through her roots, turning it into a container to hold memories, and the father dove underwater to collect it. And that is how the memory chamber first displayed her power to the Serenians. Having read Catherine's descriptive book, I realized that the plant the protectors called the memory chamber is but the fruiting body of a massive fungus. Like any fungus, it recycles dead organic material into nutrients, in this case, filled memory globes. Since Yeesha has recently asked to see Serenia, I will share this explanation with her, as I did with her brothers when they were her age. Yet, I cannot help thinking that my scientific understanding of Serenia pales in comparison to the Protector's simple tale. I had not fully realized how many years have passed since I visited this age, so when I stepped out of the linking cave with Yeesha, I was pleased to see only a little has changed. A new group of women have replaced the Protectors I knew, but they seemed to be as friendly as the first. Yeesha took an immediate liking to one called Anya, and as we made plans to spend more time here in the future, I felt confident our relationship with these women would be mutually beneficial. After an absence of several weeks, we returned to Serenia last night. Catherine agreed to accompany us, so we will stay for a week or more. This morning, I took advantage of Catherine's presence to re-explore alone. My route soon took me beyond Serenia's current memory chamber to the old abandoned flower which had served this village centuries ago. The man-made edifice surrounding the chamber looked much the same as I remembered, although the flower itself was in a far worse state of decay. I tried opening the door to explore inside, but found it locked. Just as well, 30 years ago, the Protectors told me how the delicate inner heart of the chamber emits a strong fragrance as part of its reproductive cycle. The closer the chamber gets to maturation, the more toxic this gas becomes, forcing the Protectors to find a new flower for their use. No doubt the collected fumes inside the original chamber would have made it impossible for me to survive there very long. Catherine says I should have seen it coming, but this morning Yeesha asked permission to meet Serenia's ancestors. I tried to explain that the place the Protectors called Dream is not real. How can it be? But she insists on finding out for herself. So what am I to do? I suppose it will do no harm to let her try. From what Anya told me, it should take several months for Yeesha to learn how to dream, and it has certainly been a while since I have had enough free time to concentrate on the Crystal Viewer's attachment. Keeping my inquisitive daughter occupied may end up being beneficial for us all. I cannot believe how quickly time has flown. Today we attended a ceremony on Serenia, celebrating Yeesha's mastery of their customs. I must admit, although my doubts about this dream realm remain, seeing my daughter's pride as she received the Protector's necklace made it all seem worthwhile. Yeesha said something strange over writing lesson today. She thought it was sad that Catherine rarely writes anymore, and asked if we should explain that just because someone dies after visiting an age, it doesn't mean the age's writer is responsible. I knew immediately she was talking about my grandmother, yet Catherine and I have never fully described Anna's death, so how she knew this information is a mystery. When I asked, she said her necklace had said something while she was holding Anna's picture. The answer was completely unsatisfactory, yet I must admit Yeesha has displayed an uncanny knowledge of things she never witnessed ever since receiving the Protector's gift. I would like to examine this necklace more closely, but at the moment, the situation with Sirius and Akinar takes precedence. Perhaps after my friend leaves us tomorrow. Alrighty, and I think that is a pretty good place to cut it. I will do the boys' journals next time, but fortunately, well, I don't know if fortunately is the right word, but we have enough journals that we actually do need to split this up into 2 separate episodes. So, that is what will be on the plate for next time. So thank you all so much for following my read-through of Myst IV Revelations books, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye now.